Alright guys, so today we're going to be making a ToolBox radio. This is a toolbox we're going to be using. It's a 19-inch Stanley toolbox. All the links to all the parts will be down in the description. Alright guys, so here's all the parts we're going to be using. Alright guys, so from right to left, this is going to be all the parts we're going to be using. We have power supply from a desktop computer. This is going to supply our 12 volts. If we have a outlet handy that we can plug it into, and we'll get more into wiring in a little bit. We have an 8 amp hour sealed lead acid battery. This is going to power our radio whenever we do not have a plug handy, or if we're out somewhere, any of that stuff. Alright, for the head unit we're going to be using, with a dual XDM16BT. I picked this one out because it has Bluetooth capability. You can pretty much use any head unit you have laying around. So, on the top here we have these little speaker terminals. These are going to be for hooking up external speakers and also charging the lead acid battery whenever it is not in use or it dies and it needs recharged. We have a dual pull, dual throw switch. This is going to change where we get our power from, if we're getting it from the battery or the power supply. We have a voltage gauge and a USB charging port. Voltage gauge is going to show what voltage our power supply is putting out, or our battery. Alright, so we're going to have two 6-inch speakers going in this box. You can pretty much put whatever you want in the box. A 6x9s, 8-inch, as long as it fits. And then we also have an antenna for our radio. So I covered where I'm primarily going to be cutting with painter's tape. This is so I can mark where I want the holes to be cut and all that, and also so I don't scratch the paint. So now we're going to be marking where we want everything placed, like the speakers and all that stuff, so then we can start cutting holes. Alright guys, so we got all of our holes cut. We have the holes for the speakers, 2 holes for the USB and the volt gauge, our rocker switch, and then another rocker switch. Our head unit's going to go right here. On the back, we have 3 holes. Those are going to be for our speaker outs, if we want an external speaker. The top hole is going to be for charging our 12-volt battery. And to the left, we have the power supply hole. So here's the power supply we're going to be using. This is just out of an old desktop computer. As you can see right here, 250 watts total output. And then we're going to have 8 amps at 12 volts. Now this is probably the smallest I would go with for a build like this. At higher volumes you may get some cutting out due to that it's pulling too much amperage. But I'm going to show you how to simplify all these wires down so it'll fit in our box. Alright, so on this main connector, you can see there's going to be a green and a black wire. I already cut them, but this is going to be our on. So we'll have a switch going to this, and whenever these are connected, the power supply will turn on and power our radio. So all these other wires you can pretty much just cut and insulate and get rid of them. With these wires, we are gonna just be keeping the yellow and black. The red is 5 volts, which we will not be needing. Alright guys, so we got the big bundle cut, taped them individually and then taped them together. Here's our 2 on wires. We got the 2 yellows and the two blacks that were coming out of the Molex connectors. So it was out of here. Alright guys, so paint's dry now. We went with the Rust-Oleum bed liner. I gave it a nice rough finish. Now we're going to start installing all the components and then start wiring everything up. Alright guys, so got the voltmeter and USB output bolted up to the front. Power supply's in. All of the outputs and the battery charger input are on the back. And then I have the battery mounted in here. I just use some carriage bolts through the side and the bottom. I have some rubber in there and back there for shock dampening, because it is a lead acid battery. So now we're going to get to wiring everything up and then sliding the speakers in there. Keeping those out just gives me a little more room to get some there. Alright guys, so we're almost done with the main wiring in this thing. I left the speakers out to show you what we got going on. So first off, with this type of wiring, I would make a wiring diagram if you're going to have some intricate wiring. It'll tell you where you really need to wire stuff, where stuff needs to be hooked up to, and all that. I'll insert a picture of mine here. It can be a rough drawing. It could be really anything as extravagant as you want. So first, we have our battery over here and our power supply here. This is for if we're inside where we have access to an outlet. We have an AC to DC converter, pretty much a computer power supply. That puts out about 11.5 volts. Our battery over here puts out 12-ish. So starting over from the battery side, and we got our negative and our positive down here. Our negative, you can see, runs up to this little distribution bolt. Alright, our positive down here runs to a fuse. This is for a protection if we short out anywhere else. On the positive side, if we short out, we won't have a fireworks show inside of our box. Up here farther, we have teed into the positive a red wire, which is going to go to our charging input for the battery. This is so we can hook up a battery charger externally to the box and charge our battery. This yellow wire is going to be for the memory for the head unit. This will keep your head unit presets saved in the head unit, so you don't have to reset what channel you're on or anything like that whenever you turn it back on. So you want to have that hooked up to constant power, which it is. Farther up the line, we have our red wire going into a switch. There's a dual pull, dual throw switch. This will let our either whenever we hit the switch up, this will let our battery power the head unit and everything else, and if we push it down, this will turn on our power supply and let that power everything. The reason I went this way is so that we do not have our power supply and our battery on at the same time. Our power supply will then try to be charging the battery, since if the power supply was hooked up, and you just don't want that. It's not enough voltage to even charge the battery, and you just don't want that constantly, that constant on the battery. So then out of the switch, we have it going to our positive distribution block. Now our positive distribution block, we have the power coming from the battery, we have the power going to the head unit, power coming from the power supply, and this blue wire is the power going to the volt gauge and the USB output for charging phones. Now on our negative side, we have the negative line coming up from the battery. We have the negative coming from the power supply. We have the negative that's going to a switch down here, and then to the volt gauge and the USB, so then we can turn off the USB and the volt gauge if we would like to save a tiny bit of power. So here's what the front panel looks like. We have the switch in the middle right now, so everything's off. If we push the switch up, This is going to be from the battery over here, so it's getting power from the battery. We push the switch down. That turns on our power supply. And then we have our switch over here, which turns the display, the lights on the switch, and the USB port off. Alright guys, so I just got these speakers in, finished up the wiring. My two main bolt terminals that the positive and the negative are going to, I put heat shrink tubing over those to insulate them so they don't hit a ground, and so we don't have fireworks going off in our box. We have our antenna back here. I'll show you that from the other side in a second. That's going to our radio. Everything else is hooked up. We have tried to get everything wire tied a little bit, make it a little cleaner. And let's move on to the front. The head unit, I just have two self-tappers in the top of it. Be careful whenever you're doing this, because you don't want shavings to get inside of there. And also, if you have a CD player, you cannot run self-tappers through the middle of this. This one does not have a CD player. I opened it up, and there was no electronics in there that would have stopped or gotten damaged by the self-tappers. So I just have that self-tap to the back also. I had other head units laying around, but I bought this one mainly because it had Bluetooth on it. I wanted that for my phone. This is the $20 one at Walmart, the XDM16BT. This is the second one I actually got from Walmart. The first one wouldn't put out any sound, so if you're not getting any sound, do a little troubleshooting, and then it could come back as being the head unit being bad. So just watch out for that. Alright guys, so for the back, first we have our antenna over here. I just got this from the auto parts store for like 10 bucks. You're going to want an antenna if you have a metal box, and if you don't have a metal box, you can makeshift an internal antenna so you can get some sort of signal, but I went with an antenna on this one. We have our battery input for the 12-volt battery inside. We can hook it up to a battery charger for an automotive battery and charge it that way. Over here we have the left rear speaker output for the head unit. So if we want to hook up an external speaker, we can do that, and this is the right rear speaker output. On the left we have our power supply. This came from a desktop computer. Alright guys, so as you just saw, we wired this thing all up. The problem I was having doing some testing after we shot that video is that the memory wire coming from the head unit to the battery to save our radio presets, that is pulling a considerable amount of amperage. Now that wouldn't be a big deal if we were running the stereo off the battery side, but if we switch it over to the power supply side, we're still pulling amperage from the battery because the memory is hooked up to the battery. So the way we're going to fix this, or the way I fixed this, is I installed a relay. Now this is a 5-pin relay. We have a normally opened and a normally closed side on it, and this relay also has a diode in it. Now I first bought a relay with no diode, and whenever you would energize the relay and then de-energize it to turn the relay off, it would screw with the head unit due to the fact that there's such a voltage spike whenever you close a magnetic field in a relay. It can be up to like 100 volts. It would make the speakers pop, so you have to get one with a diode in it. So running through the pinout real quick on this, 85 is ground, so we have this ground down here. This is going to our main ground distribution. 86 and 87, which is this white wire, and the yellow one, go to main power. 30, which is this blue wire, this goes to the memory wire on the head unit. And then 87A goes to the battery, which is this one right here. Now, whenever this gets energized, so whenever power is sent to this from the main power, it pulls the relay over to get power from the main power, because this white wire is teed in to main power also. So when the relay is energized, it pulls power from here. So the radio's on, it's pulling power from here. Now say if we're running off of our power supply, since we have a dual pull, dual throw switch, the battery is disconnected, so we're pulling power from the power supply on that memory wire. So say when we turn the radio off, the relay hits back to 87A, which is this red wire, and that is straight off of the battery, so that retains our memory function. The problem with this is once you turn the radio off, the relay is not fast enough to kick it back over to the battery, so you still lose your memory because the relay is not fast enough. So I looked in the solid state relays. They don't really make a 5-pin solid state relay, which solid state would be many times faster and I think would work in this situation, but they just don't make them. So what I figured out would work is installed another diode right here. Now this is just mocked up for testing purposes. So a diode is pretty much a one-way check valve. It'll let power go one way but not the other. So we're going to take battery power and we're going to run it to this side of the diode. Now power is allowed to go this way but not to come back. Now the reason we need that diode is if I hooked up battery power to here, it would keep that relay on and the radio won't turn off. So I have the DVOM set up acting like the wire that's going to be going to our right side of our diode, and then I have the other end of the DVOM on the positive side of the battery. This is simulating the wire that will be there, and we have this set to amps. So this is how much amperage draw the battery will be pulling whenever the power supply is on and powering the head unit. Now this compared to I think we were pulling 2 to 3 amps before. This is more manageable, and we're going to turn the whole radio off right now. Now we did have a little spike there. I think that was from the relay clicking back over, and that is the draw that we're going to be having on the battery whenever everything's off. And so that draw right there, that is what's saving our memory in our head unit. Alright, so here's a little sound clip of a royalty-free track on YouTube. Alright guys, so it does sound pretty good. No distortion until you get at the peak of the head unit volume, so that's pretty good. I measured it at about medium to high listening volume. It pulls about 4 amps. If you really want to save power, you can flip the switch off and it turns off the lights on the switch, volt gauge, and then the USB charging port. That saves only like 1/10 of an amp, but if you wanted to black it out, that's what that's for. So if you have any questions, put them down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.